Last January was especially quiet. I had a routine down. I walked miles to school, and then I'd go to the O&D Young Library on the St. Lawrence University campus. I went to familiar little hutches and glass enclosed rooms. I watched the season change in the courtyard from the comfort of my seat in the sun. I would read and write and contemplate things. I could explore a whole world of knowledge that I was enveloped in. I had a grand vision of some elaborate pilgrimage. Another minister and I talked about traveling cross country to see as many Frank Lloyd Wright buildings as we could. Wright was, after all, a Unitarian. I explored in my head how a Unitarian Universalist might be a pilgrim. And then I would walk home and breathe with intention the icy air, see the snow on snow, and the ordinary curves of the campus paths, every day within it, a pilgrimage. No matter what religion you are, there seems to be a universal calling to step out of our ordinary ways and actively move in the pursuit of some distant holy place. There is a popular pilgrimage site on Japan's fourth largest island, Shikoku. I have never been there and may never get to go there. I was intrigued enough with it to still be thinking about it now, a year later. A few members of our congregation have gone there. Shikoku is different from other pilgrimage sites in that it's not one destination, but a circle, a chain of 88 temples. The temples are made of weathered wood, ancient single and double story pagodas. Nobody knows why there's the same number of temples as keys on a piano, 36 black, 52 white. Such well-tempered order. The musicians laughed at that one. They like that. Of course, some pianos have less than 88 keys, and some have more, like the Bosendorfer has these barely audible bass notes. But 88, why? Semi-perfect, untouchable, abundant. Was it the number of constellations, Mercury's orbital days, the atomic number for radium? Turns out numbers are cultural constructs. Austria banned the number on its license plate because it had to symbolize neo-Nazism. And in China, 88 is the number of great fortune. I would like to think it has to do, 88, with great fortune and music rather than white supremacy. Legend has it that a holy man, a miracle worker, a poet and calligrapher who brought a branch of Buddhism to Japan, built the temples and created the route about 1,200 years ago. Some say he is still there, deep in a mountain, still in meditation. Kobo-dayashi, as he is known now, walks with pilgrims in spirit. Everyone follows his path. Following the journey of a holy figure, the pilgrims sense his presence. The seekers are marked by large, protective, often conical hats, walking sticks, and white garments lettered in beautiful black Japanese calligraphy, some with the phrase, "Two pilgrims together," a reference to Kobo-dayashi. We know for sure that by the 12th century, Buddhist monks began taking pilgrimages there to walk in the footsteps of Kobo-dayashi. and a route organically began. By the mid-17th century, the number of temples gets set at 88 and stops there. Many have come looking for healing, poor and destitute, with hearts aching, lured by a promise of encountering Kobodayashi and receiving his healing and his grace. Kobodayashi, the holy man, unites the pilgrims as they walk on the path toward enlightenment. And as much as this pilgrimage is Buddhist, it's also Shinto and just very Japanese. Every pilgrim goes to each temple with a pilgrim slip with an intention written on it. They may recite a sutra like the Heart Sutra, which we encountered earlier today in our reading. They may bow. They may place their hands in devotional poses. And perhaps, and most importantly, they get their book, their pilgrim book or scroll, stamped by the temple priest with beautiful calligraphy. This is Dave Nelson's and Rebecca Pickens. It's a passport of sorts, a proof that you've been there, that you've done it. It's a passport to get to the Pure Land. These books might even be placed in the coffins of deceased pilgrims. All items brought back are important symbols of the journey, but especially the pilgrim's book. Some who are too ill or too frail will ask for someone to visit the 88 temples for them as a proxy. Nowadays, very few people walk all of them. Many travel by bus, and they do it in a couple of weeks with comforts of lodging and celebrating with a beer each evening. The guided tours give you about 45 minutes at each temple. And whether you are walking, taking trains or ferries, using bridges, buses, or you do it in stages, no matter how you do it, you must do all 88, or you have not really done it. And the more you do all 88, the better. One man, Nakatsuka Mohai, set out in 1865 to walk the 88 temples to escape the pain of not being allowed to marry the woman whom he loved. His parents refused to let him marry this village woman. In another account, his parents had died and it was his older brother, 12 years his senior, who forbade him from marrying the beautiful woman he so loved. He spent days in the red light district, and one of the prostitutes told him of Kobodayashi, and Nakatsuka vowed to never come back home alive. At the end of his first circle, he just kept going. Nakatsuka wrote a guidebook, and then after his 88th pilgrimage circle, he started erecting stone guideposts to help pilgrims find their way. He got the wealthy and the poor to support this endeavor. Over 3 feet high, with directions carved, they have become part of the landscape. For 57 years, he lived on the way, on pilgrimage, a living Buddha. It must have been a natural high for him, almost an addiction. I would imagine you do it once and you want to experience it again. You may call it escapism, but I think it took great courage to leave everything behind. Pain and suffering often calls to the pilgrim. In 1922, he died en route, a legend, a guide, and a hero. Now, I love hiking, and I've gone on some great backcountry adventures. I also love sacred spaces. But can you imagine having no home? Of being entirely always departing, never finally arriving, especially without modern hiking equipment, like the great boots that we have, and tents and sleeping bags, and just depending on the kindness of strangers. It's certainly not for everyone, but every day can have within it a pilgrimage. Perhaps our temples can be as abundant as keys on the piano. The O&D Young Library, this church, a temple. Right now, perhaps, we are in a circle together. Every day, a new temple to worship in, to bow in reverence before, where the way is the goal. And it is in the circling that we find. To make and find our temples in all space is, to say the least, a spiritual challenge. To mark each day a pilgrimage. To find in each day a new temple of possibility, where we can bring our heartache of missed chances, the pain of broken relationships. That is the calling of our great faith. No doubt, there is something special about over there. But there are guideposts around us telling us the pilgrimage is today. Confronted with change, we then have the wisdom to face it and have a choice in how we will react to it. Managing the meandering, the ways of wondering, the poet persists. The miracle worker of emptiness meets us on the journey. There is a popular pilgrimage site in Japan, Shikoku. Nobody knows why, but there is the same number of temples as the keys of a piano. 36 black and 52 white. Such well-tempered order. One person went on their initial journey of 88 because their family said they could not wed the person they loved. Their heart hurt, and the route became a mending way. And so they lived in the circle for the rest of their life. They survived before Gore-Tex and improved the way for future travelers. In total, 282 addictive circles. They must have known the temples like 88 friends, like a pianist knows the keys by silent touch, and the path itself, a home. A living Buddha. They died en route, a guide, a hero. So may it be. Amen.